All right, welcome everyone to Building a Mentorship Network. I'm Elizabeth Sturdy. I'm the Director of Mentoring and Academic Success Initiatives at Graduate Studies. This is part of our larger Mentoring Up program, which we developed as a program to really help graduate students and postdocs work with faculty mentors. And this is one of the sessions that we offer. It is a 6-week program. And this is one of the later sessions. And winter and spring quarter, we've been breaking these up and offering them on Zoom just to reach more people, make it more accessible if you haven't been able to join us in person or for the longer sort of 6-week program. So thanks for joining today. And thank you to Kevin Porter, who's helping me on Zoom. He'll be putting things in the chat and helping us throughout today's session. Just a heads up that we will be doing some activities, either filling out a fillable PDF, or you might prefer to work with paper and a pen or pencil. So just a heads up that we're going to be doing some writing or drawing activities with your mentorship network. And so to get that handy, or we do have a fillable PDF if that works for you. All right, we'll go ahead and get started about mentorship networks. So it's really important to realize that you need multiple mentors. So no one mentor is going to be able to provide all the mentorship you need. And so you're going to be really thinking about today all the different people in your network or new people you want to identify to support you and support you in a variety of ways. Your skill development, your career goals, your personal well-being. And so we'll talk about the variety of topics and areas that you need support. And this is a real change in the way mentorship has been viewed in the past. So used to be just very much one-on-one relationship, and particularly in graduate education, that, it would just be that sole faculty mentor that would provide all the mentorship you needed. What they're acknowledging now is that you need many, many mentors and mentors in a variety of roles and spaces in order to be successful. So that's what we're going to talk about today. So this is really considered having more comprehensive mentoring rather than a comprehensive mentor. So as I mentioned in the past, it was really looking to that faculty mentor to provide all of the mentoring you needed, the academic, the personal, professional development. And what they found now is that you really benefit from having multiple individuals and to think about different areas, as I mentioned. So that academic or research feedback, but also support for your identity, role models that you would like to have, emotional support or safe spaces where you can go, as well as career development and your mentors for the careers that you're interested in going into. We know that a lot of our graduate students and postdoctoral scholars are not all going into faculty positions. And so often our faculty aren't the only mentors we need in terms of planning for our next steps in our careers. So the benefits of these networks are huge. So they increase the possibilities for you and your professional opportunities. They reduce stress from relying on one person for everything. And if that relationship is not the greatest, it's giving you support outside of that relationship. So if there is sort of abuse of power or a disconnection that you're having, you're not on your own entirely. And they found that this better supports retention and long-term career goals. And one mentor is only kind of beneficial more for the short-term goals. So in terms of your long-term success, it really benefits you to have multiple mentors. And so that's why we're really encouraging you to think about that today. And when we think about mentors, how we're sort of envisioning them has changed as well. So in the past, it really used to be someone that was in a very powerful position and usually a faculty role in graduate education. That would be our mentors. And I want us to think more broadly about who can provide mentorship and acknowledge that there's a lot of different positionalities that are wonderful mentors. So we know, obviously, we go to our scholars and our research mentors, but there's also advisors, so faculty and staff advisors. staff across campus that are wonderful mentors for you, depending on the different areas. Also, peer mentors, so people, that might have been here a couple years longer or are even in your same cohort, colleagues, but also people that might have just joined the graduate program. And you might be in a year that's more advanced than them in the program, but they have a lot of different expertise as well. We've chatted in this program before about how one graduate student identified a first year that she wanted to meet with. She was in her fifth year, I believe, fourth or fifth. But this first year grad student had industry experience and she really wanted mentorship on that. And so even though that is a sort of a non-traditional approach to seeking mentors, we don't always think of kind of the new folks coming in as mentors for ourselves sometimes. It was a great opportunity for them to connect and to really acknowledge the reciprocal nature of mentorship. So she could provide mentoring on the grad program, but was really interested in receiving mentoring on the industry in return. So really kind of opening up sort of what these relationships can look like and that they can be having from more newer folks or to the program could even be potential mentors for us. And that we also learn from the mentees. I know many of you are doing mentoring of your own. And so acknowledging that reciprocal nature of what your mentees are teaching you, the networks they're exposing you to, and the different ideas and backgrounds that they bring. But also thinking of kind of community members, family members, friends, other people that can be your support as you're navigating your graduate program, your postdoctoral position, and your next steps. And I also want you to think about different types of relationships. And so it's not just lifelong mentoring relationships that you're going to be building. There can be different types of relationships for different needs. So the first one is called maintenance, or helping you pursue a specific goal or trajectory. So I often think of probably your faculty mentor is helping you get your graduate degree or to complete your postdoc position, has a very specific purpose to help you guide you through. But there are also other types of mentoring relationships, one of which is transitional, so helping you through a particular period or goal. So this could be people who are helping you prepare for the QE, people who are helping you explore internship opportunities, people are helping you apply to a specific position or consider a specific role. And so they are kind of shorter term mentoring based particularly on that transition itself. And so that's another call to you, is to be thinking about looking at your network or mentor needs at any transition. Also, there are aspirational mentors. So these are really long-term mentors helping you get to sort of what your end goals could be. If you're like, one day I want to be a college president or I want to be a CEO, people that might be in those types of positions where you have decades to go, but you're really interested in learning from them and their career journey and could maybe mentor you for sort of all of that potential that you have. To really think about different types of relationships. And these get created in different ways, right? So some are assigned to you. So you might have matched with a faculty member at recruitment or done lab rotations and to find someone to work with. And so you might have been sort of assigned someone. You might also participate in mentoring programs where they match you with someone and you are told who you'll be working with. But there are also people that you're going to build relationships with more informally. And we're going to talk a lot of that today, because obviously that's where it's more challenging to kind of create those relationships because you're often on your own, right? Or you're sort of putting yourself out there and seeking a relationship. And these informal mentoring relationships can also be, those can be a lot of the family, friends, peer type of relationships where you never formally said, like, you are my mentor, but a lot of mentoring is taking place. And then there are, as I mentioned, different timeframes for these relationships. So I really want to encourage you to not consider all your relationships as long-term investments that you have to maintain for life. Because as we're talking about building so many people in our networks, that can be a huge demand on our time, right? And there might be mentors we only need for a particular season, and that's okay. So don't feel bad if you don't need to engage frequently with someone anymore. And don't feel like you have to continue reaching out or meeting with people if they don't feel like they're an essential part of your mentorship network. So you can have continuous relationships. There might be mentors that you want to meet with for decades. They're just so wonderful and meaningful and have, continue to be relevant in providing mentorship for you. And then there's going to be those episodic relationships, particularly around those transitions that I mentioned. So maybe they're just helping you with the QE, they're just helping you explore an internship, just exploring a job opportunity. And then you might go in a different direction, or once you pass your QE or do an internship, it's no longer relevant. So we're going to take some time to think about the mentoring you're already receiving. So I want you to evaluate the quality of mentoring you're receiving so that we can see if there's any gaps or any room for improvement. And so Kevin is going to put in an assessment that you're going to fill out on your own. That will be in the chat. And I want you to take 5 minutes to go through it and sort of fill it out. And then we are going to discuss it with each other. So I'm going to go quiet to give you time to go through this. So about 12:20, 12:19, I'll chime back in. Hit record. Welcome back, everyone. I hope that was helpful to sort of assess where your mentorship is at right now before we think about expanding your networks and the different areas that you may have identified as gaps or things you hadn't even been thinking about as much. And so next we're going to use a mentorship network workbook. This was created by a current graduate student, Jasmine Green, for her Professors for the Future project. And I collaborated with her on this. So I'm really excited to share her project with you. And this is a really useful workbook. It has multiple pages you can go through and share with your mentees or your other colleagues, and just gets you thinking about a lot of these topics that I've gone over, as well as how to think about designing your own mentorship network. So we're going to do a network development exercise next. So this is the part where you're going to be using a PDF that's fillable, or if you'd rather work with paper and pen, feel free to do so. It's really up to you and what's best for you in terms of your thinking process and your approach. So on page 10 of the workbook, which is in the chat or the Google folder, and let us know if you can't open it in the chat, and we'll send that link again. But page 10, I want you to fill out all of your existing mentors that you have currently. I'll give you a few minutes to do that, and then we'll move on to the next step. So as you've drawn this network and you've mapped out your priorities or some of the gaps that you've identified, I want you to assess your network now. Think about, do you have a variety of mentors across positions and spaces? As we talked about network diversity, are they outside the university as well as inside? So thinking about how close is this network? Are all of these people in your grad program or your department, or are you really reaching out to broader networks? Are there people you listed that you're like, I really need to get in touch with them? I feel like I'm out of touch. I really want to engage some more. Find those areas where you have those question marks or blank spaces, those people you feel like you need mentors, but you don't have. And thinking about, is this network manageable to maintain? As I talked about, there is labor associated with building and maintaining all of these relationships. We're going to talk about some strategies about doing that in a bit. But also think, who needs a lot of engagement? Who do you need to talk to weekly, but like bi-weekly? Who's maybe monthly? Who's quarterly, annually? Thinking about sort of the level engagement that each person might need. So for sake of time, we're going to stay in a large group for this. And I'm going to have you assess this network here by asking yourself these questions and thinking about all of these different aspects of your network for a few more minutes as you finish up. Talking about strategies. Let's start talking about strategies to do this. So we're going to talk about the different strategies at the different stages for building your networks now. So in terms of how to find people, which can be, a big task in itself. So you can do that kind of cold call or outreach to folks where you don't know them, but you would like to. And so those are people that you might do an email to or reach out on LinkedIn. And this is something where you want to chat about a particular topic, their career journey, or you might have an ask, like being on your committee or giving you advice about a particular transition or goal that you have. We're going to practice at the end of this session of what you can say in those emails, because that can be a challenge as well. And you can think about joining other structures that are organized. So often sort of labs, reading groups, seminars are great opportunities for peer mentorship. And there's a lot of group structures across campus based on sort of your interests that you can join. And you'll find that there's a lot of peer mentorship happening there. We also have formal peer mentoring programs in departments as well as campus-wide. And you can participate in those. And those you usually are formally matched with someone. So they kind of do that matching process for you. Think about also organizations off campus that you can join in your discipline or based on your interests. And also getting involved, right? Like different service opportunities can really expand your networks as well. And then, as I mentioned, it's not just sort of about your professional spaces, but also in the community, family and friends, people that you want to connect with. Maybe you're a really big runner, and so you're like, I really want, a running group or friends I can run with for my mental health and well-being. And so it's really important that, I have someone that is helping me stay motivated and engaged in that way. And that can be a big part of your success as well. And so one of the hurdles, I think, with having to contact people kind of on our own is that sometimes we feel like we're bothering folks, or they're so busy, or why would they want to meet with us? So a lot of it can feel really vulnerable, like putting yourself out there. And I want to acknowledge that. But I also want to share that there's so much research about the reciprocal benefits of mentoring. So many people really get a lot of value out of providing mentorship. And we've seen that mentors learn and benefit from their mentees. So you have a lot to offer as a mentee. There's so many skills and experiences that are unique to you that you can bring. And so it's a great offering that you're also extending when you reach out to someone. And so many people really find it rewarding to meet with you. And if they don't, then they're probably not going to be a great mentor regardless, right? So I hope that's helpful in terms of getting over any kind of challenge you might have if you're feeling like it's a little bit vulnerable or uncomfortable, or you're demanding someone's time or taking too much time away from them. I know I often can feel that way. So sharing some of the discussions we've had in this workshop previously about that. Once you have a mentor, then you really need to be in the maintaining phase. So thinking about how you want to continuously engage in the relationship. So I think about just strategize about how much you want to engage with each person. We kind of did that earlier, thinking about who do I need to talk to regularly, and then what would be the timeline or time frame for the other relationships, because there are people you might chat with only annually, and that's fine. And then finding different ways that feel authentic and natural to you to reach out. So some people have talked about, oh, like we engage on LinkedIn. I might like send them an article that I read that made me think of them. And that's just a way to be like, hey, I read this. I thought of you. I thought you might think it was interesting. There can be coffee dates or ways that you try and see each other in person based on that time frame that you've come up with. You might wait till you have a accomplishment to share. Mentors love hearing from you about how well you're doing. And so that's another great opportunity. Or if you're going through a transition or a challenge, or you want to ask advice, these are all great opportunities, as well as just, hey, it's been a while. I miss you. Like, let's get together and chat and just have a quick, like, how are things going? And that's really important too for relationship building. I think it's important to think about just your boundaries with any mentoring relationship, of the topics that you feel comfortable sharing and that you want to go to them for mentorship for. And then I just also really want to stress that this is really individualized based on who we all are as people. So how I engage with my mentors is going to be really different from how you engage, and that's okay. So if other people are like traveling together and doing lots of things and you are not, that doesn't mean you're engaging with your network badly. It just means that you might have a different approach to how you want to meet with folks. Like, for example, I'm not really great at like networking in a huge room. I much rather meet individually and have like really like a much deeper connection. And so I want to meet with my mentors one-on-one, and I want to have kind of a topic ready for us to talk about, unless we have like a really long-standing relationship where I feel like we could small talk for a long period. But often, sometimes I kind of want more of an agenda or a topic or something that I want to chat with them about as I'm establishing a newer relationship, just because I'm not the best at sort of carrying a small talk conversation. So I hope that's helpful in terms of thinking with the different ways, and that you can strategize about when you want to reach out to who and how often and what might be ideal for you. And then you want to be looking at your networks regularly. So this network is going to change and evolve. And so you want to be continuously updating it. And this will mirror how your goals are changing and your journey and your transitions and things that you're learning to prioritize. And you might even find that you want multiple networks. Like there might be a grad school or postdoc position network, like get you through this goal. And then there might be that long-term network of, kind of your long-term career trajectory. So that's another strategy to take. We've talked about how the engagement can differ. And then we talked about how you can also look for other sources of mentorship as well. It doesn't necessarily always have to be a person, but thinking about kind of resource needs for these different areas of that your priorities or your goals. So we're going to end the workshop by just practicing and identifying one person that you want to contact to strengthen your network that you've hopefully identified today, and thinking about why you want to reach out to this person, what you have to offer, because we talked about that you have so much to offer as well. So really, articulating that to yourself, or thinking about what this person could learn from you. Think about what you want to say in your email, because I've found that like subject lines and even just wording this can be kind of tricky. And there are some examples on page 16 of the workbook. So if you feel like you get stuck on how to word these emails or calls for mentorship, look there and sort of come up with a date of when you want to reach out to this person. Try and make a commitment here and now of when you want to reach out. I will say that I did this recently. I try to follow my own advice and acknowledge that it's hard to reach out to people you don't know seeking mentorship. And so I did do this. I sent an email. I did get stuck on the subject line, but I came up with something and asked to meet about a particular topic. Again, sharing that I like to have a specific topic when I call a meeting with someone. And we met, and I really wanted to ask the person for mentorship, being kind of transparent about wanting to meet again, and and that I really am looking to them as a potential mentor. So at the end, I asked, would you be interested in mentoring me? I really, admire your leadership and think I could learn a lot from you. Is that something that you have time for, you'd be interested in? And she said, absolutely. So it felt kind of weird to ask and be so transparent, but it was really beneficial because she assured me of how much she loves mentoring and that would be rewarding to her and that she had time. And so it was just really clear that I did want to meet again and why I was reaching out. And we were kind of on the same page. And so it worked really well. So I also encourage you to be direct about seeking mentorship from this person if that's the goal, and feeling free to say that. So look at page 16 of the workbook for some email writing tips. I know a lot of people had to leave early, so I'm just going to switch to the resources that we have on our resource slide that we will send out to all of you. So you have these links. And I have time for any questions for all of those that stayed on. And I think we could stop the recording, Kevin.